The true skill level of heavyweight boxing has finally been exposed. Welcome everybody to the first video with the new camera, new me. And ladies, if the comment section gets a little too wild, I'm gonna go back to the PowerPoint slideshow. Anyways, Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua was announced this weekend, and it seems like on every poll you come across, Francis Ngannou is actually the one favored, and honestly, I would agree. But on paper, it should technically be even ludicrous to say. Anthony Joshua has been on the professional level of boxing for over 10 years, also coming into the sport a decorated amateur and a fucking Olympic gold medalist. As a professional, he's a former two-time unified champion, having held the WBA Super, IBF, IBO, and WBO world titles at the same time at one point. With this type of resume and with Joshua still fighting professional, Joshua shouldn't even be giving an MMA fighter a time of day for a fight. And despite all of those accolades, I would still think a majority of fight fans would take Francis Ngannou over Deontay Wilder. And whether you agree with that take or not, I think we can all agree that this fight is going to be much closer than we would have thought a year ago, especially after that Tyson Fury fight. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about this fight, considering I've already made a detailed breakdown of this, but this was the true fight that exposed this entire division. Additionally, last month, Deontay Wilder was again exposed for the lack of boxing skill and over-reliance on his power when he was simply outboxed by Joseph Parker. Obviously, Deontay Wilder has been outboxed by quote-unquote the most skilled heavyweight boxer on the planet 2 times and arguably 3 times, but now he has been outboxed by Joseph Parker, who is a truly good boxer, just not on Tyson Fury's level. And so with that loss, Wilder's wildly overrated resume and skill level has finally been exposed to the masses like the rest of the division. So what the hell happened? What happened to the 3 titans of boxing who were once billed the best heavyweights in the world, the new generation of heavyweights, and practically looked untouchable at one point in time? Just 4 or 5 years ago, we were having legitimate arguments over which one of these 3 guys was the best heavyweight in the world. And now we're having legitimate conversations over the skill level of each one of these guys. We're also in a state of heavyweight boxing where the best heavyweights might actually be a cruiserweight and an MMA fighter. So in today's video, let's uncover how the true mediocre skill level of the heavyweight boxing division has been hidden by boxing promoters for so long, and particularly how Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury's true skill level has finally been exposed. But before we begin, an obvious preface. And before we begin that, a word from our sponsor. Fellas, let's talk good old American football. The NFL playoffs are here, and I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official partner of the NFL, who is kicking things off with a huge offer. Throughout the playoffs, all new customers will get $200 in bonus bets instantly when they place their first $5 wager on anything. Get in on the action this weekend by downloading the DraftKings app, and don't forget to use my promo code TJLovesFights. Again, new customers who just bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly, and if you're wondering what you can use those $200 in bonus bets on, you can combine multiple bets together from the same game for a shot at an even bigger payout. If you're already signed up for DraftKings, you can get a no-sweat bet, get a bonus bet back if your same-game parlay or SGPX bet doesn't hit, max reward limits apply. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the chance to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code TJLovesFights and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code TJLovesFights only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. You might think age is the primary factor to all of this, and age has just simply caught up to these fighters, and that's why they've declined, but I'd argue that's only slightly true, if that. Tyson Fury got exposed by Francis Ngannou, who is actually older than him by 2 years. Similarly, Anthony Joshua's skill level was truly exposed by Alexander Usyk, who is a year older than Anthony Joshua. The only person you can really say age has gotten to them is Deontay Wilder, who is 38 and has suffered 2 bad beatdowns from Tyson Fury that may have caught up to him, but still, I think if Deontay Wilder faced a guy like Joseph Parker earlier in his career, he still would have been exposed, considering how bad his fundamental boxing truly is. And 2, you might think the problems of heavyweight boxing is true of the entire sport of boxing, which is true, but obviously I think the skill level of the lighter weight classes like 168 and below are extremely elite, with some divisions being very deep. And what makes the heavyweight boxing division also significantly worse than the lightweight division is that they have no young talent to look forward to. 135 and 140 is packed to the brim with young talent and matchups to look forward to. The heavyweight boxing division looks dead with young talent or any stars under 30, as all the heavyweight boxers I've simply mentioned are all in their mid-30s, which truly means that this division has never been worse. So with all that out of the way, let's start with Anthony Joshua's resume. A couple years ago, Anthony Joshua looked like an untouchable boxing superstar and a superstar in all the sports for that matter. He was a superstar in the UK especially, and still in my opinion has the most aesthetic physique in all of boxing, and maybe ever, but that's a different topic entirely. Anyways, with this much star power and potential, boxing promotions were quick to build up a resume and narrative surrounding Anthony Joshua. Up until his shocking loss to Andy Ruiz, he was 22-0 with an insane 95% finish rate and had highlight wins over names like Dillian Whyte, Alexander Povetkin, and the crown jewel being his memorable win over once dominant Vladimir Klitschko, which looked like a passing of the torch moment. But if we look into the best moment of his career, you'll really find that this isn't as great as you may think. Vladimir Klitschko, by this point, was way past his prime and was 41 years old, while Anthony Joshua was in his athletic prime at 27. Additionally, Klitschko had already lost in this time period as he was coming off a loss to Tyson Fury a fight before. Anyways, back to the fight. Though Anthony Joshua did end up getting the win by TKO in the end, an extremely old Klitschko still had his moments and even dropped Joshua in the process. So if this was the best moment of his career, everything else kind of pales in comparison. Sure, he had good wins over solid opponents like Alexander Povetkin, Dillian Whyte, like I mentioned before, and Joseph Parker, all of which have held some sort of belt, whether of actual substance or not, but with a majority of his fights not being competitive, his truly thin resume would finally be exposed. Obviously, first came with the shocker of Andy Ruiz, but where I think he was truly exposed in terms of his skill level was when he had to face the ultra-skilled Alexander Usyk, who is of similar age and definitely on his level. And in those two fights, despite Usyk being significantly smaller and a sizable underdog in the first fight, he systematically broke down Anthony Joshua over the course of 24 rounds and broke down Joshua mentally as well, displaying the true skill level of Anthony Joshua. Now, if you think Anthony Joshua's resume up until his Andy Ruiz loss was protected, then Deontay Wilder is significantly worse. Propa Boxing made an excellent video exposing the resume of Deontay Wilder, so I suggest watching that, but let me just quickly summarize. Up until his loss to Tyson Fury, he was an astounding 42-0-1, with that one coming from the draw with Tyson Fury. And besides that one draw from Tyson Fury and also a unanimous decision against Bermane-Stiverne, he had finished every single one of his opponents, whether through KO or through retirement in the corner, or essentially when his opponents just quit between rounds. Now with that type of KO or finish rate, you might be impressed, but true boxing fans would be very skeptical. Considering the obviously low skill level of Deontay Wilder's fundamental boxing and also his over-reliance on his power, with a KO rate like that, one would imagine that the competition Deontay Wilder was facing wasn't too great. I mean, just go to Wikipedia right now, and a vast majority of his opponents don't even have links, meaning they were never big enough or skilled enough for somebody to write about them. His best win coming from this era was an aging 40-year-old Luis Ortiz, who had been outboxing Wilder in both of their fights before getting caught. That's why I'm very confident that had he faced somebody decent and young like Joseph Parker in this time frame, Deontay Wilder would have been exposed much sooner. And with Deontay Wilder being exposed, we really need to look at Tyson Fury's true resume and skill level. If being dropped by an MMA fighter in his boxing debut wasn't enough, we now have to really consider the two best wins in his career and question his entire resume in general. I feel like Tyson Fury for the most part has been billed as this giant, super skilled, potentially all-time great talent that, especially out of these three, could compete with the all-time best. But we have to really now reconsider that claim. We all remember him for his trilogy with Deontay Wilder and how he ended up not only winning but knocking out Wilder on 2 occasions, but considering how overrated and protected Wilder actually was, we have to ask, were those good wins for Fury? I mean, if Wilder is that unskilled, then what does it mean for Fury that he wasn't able to win in their first encounter and got dropped and almost finished? What does it mean for Fury that in their third fight he still got dropped and had to go all the way to the 11th even though he supposedly figured out Wilder the fight before? What does it mean for Fury that his next best win was against Vladimir Klitschko, who was 39 years old and was an absolute snooze fest? And of course, what does it mean for Fury that he got dropped by Francis Ngannou and had to win via split decision? This might be a hot take, but I think we've all been fooled. Tyson Fury was promoted as the 6'9", super skilled, potentially all-time great heavyweight, when in reality, first off, he's nowhere near 6'9", and second, he is not as skilled as we may have thought and is nowhere near the level of the all-time greats like Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Ali, Foreman, etc. When Tyson Fury is on, he's on, but he's usually on against very subpar opponents, which has led us to believe he's better than he actually is. And I think we can truly put this take to the test when he fights Usyk in February, someone who I think can finally match Fury's skill. So after that little deep dive into the resumes of Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury, who are all supposed to be the top dogs of the division, I think we can confidently say that heavyweight is probably the most protected division in boxing. Ultimately, boxing promoters want to keep the allure of heavyweight boxing division alive. The heavyweight boxing division has always been the premier division for boxing, and literally and metaphorically speaking, has had the biggest stars. And what makes things worse for the heavyweight division, like I said before, is that there are no new young stars in that division to look forward to. Alexander Usyk, who I do think is the top dog in the division, is 36 years old and doesn't have a young successor in sight. So the future of the heavyweight boxing division, at least at the star level, is pretty grim right now, but I'm still pretty excited to see Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury, now Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou, and Deontay Wilder doesn't look too good, but I'd still be excited for him to fight maybe Francis Ngannou, Anthony Joshua, etc. But anyways, what do you guys think about the state of heavyweight boxing? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it mediocre? And how do you think we can turn this ship around? Anyways, again, thank you guys for watching and always supporting, and let me know how this new format is. Thank you. Peace.